All right, let's see what we got here. Having some technical difficulties trying to get set up today. Again. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to scroll back the resolution on this thing. Then back out. There we go. Resolution over here is zoomed out pretty far too. All right. So we're in Jeremiah chapter 5, which we don't have there. Jeremiah 5. Septuagint. And I'm still zoomed in a lot. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I got to reset some stuff. Way zoomed in. And let me a little bit more. Yeah, 150. Zoom out. I'll get this right eventually. All right, let me share it before we start our study. Oh. All right. Let's see. Share this. Happy Sabbath, everyone. Happy Sabbath, Rachel. Hope you are doing good today. Let's see. That's the problem when you make changes to your equipment, or at least the problem I have. Everything starts going haywire. I put it off for a long time. So I just didn't want to deal with it. But I finally invested some more. So I've been wanting to get different monitors for a while. Finally did that. Got a different mic. Finally did that. Got another key light, which seems like it was better before with that, but we'll see. Work in progress. Just trying to improve where I can improve. Got a keyboard that's not so loud, so hopefully that helps. So bear with me. Let's zoom in a little more. Maybe a little more than that. Okay. So Jeremiah 6 we've got. Yeah, I had a good scripture study with the brothers and sisters this morning. And a good Hebrew study. So that was good. I'm actually able to read a little bit ahead. I still get tripped up with words, but I can read ahead a little bit in the Hebrew. So praise Yah. All right. Jeremiah 5. All right. So run you about in the streets of Jerusalem and see and know and seek in her broad places, if you can find one, if there is anyone that does judgment and seeks faithfulness. So these are tied together. And I will pardon them, saith Yahuwah. So a lot of times in English, Greek, whatever, we separate ideas. So he'll say judgment, we'll think judgment, and then he'll say faithfulness, and we think it's something different. That's not how it works in Hebrew. The context, when he says judgment and then he says faithfulness, they're tied in, what do you call it? The meaning is tied together in the context of what he's saying. So judgment is faithfulness and faithfulness is judgment. You can look into the Hebrew words and you'll see the same kind of thing going on, which I could look up. Jeremiah 5. Yeah, pull that up. So Jeremiah. Whoop. Nope. My keyboard sound's still coming through. All right, so it's probably not as bad though. Uriah, look and see. Ureu. Search. And find Ish. Mishpat, justice. Seek. So it's got truth. Emunah. And forgive. Is that the right verse? Yes, Jeremiah 5. So yeah, mishpat, judgment or justice, emunah, steadfastness, keeping commands, trustworthiness, faithfulness. See how it's tied together? Loyalty to God, commandments, i.e. commandments. So mishpat, same thing, is judgments, legal decision. That here. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. Yahuwah lives, they say, and do not therefore swear falsely. O Yahuwah, thine eyes are upon faithfulness. Thou hast scourged them, but they have not grieved. Thou hast consumed them, but they will not receive correction. See, it's tied together. Correction, judgment, righteousness, faithfulness. They have made their faces harder than a rock, and they would not return. Return where? Return to God. Return to his law. Return to his commandments. Then I said, it may be that they are poor, for they are weak, for they know not the way of Yahuwah or the judgment of God. See, two things that are tied together again. The way of Yahuwah, his commandments, his law, the judgment of God, his commandments, his law. I will go to the rich men and will speak to them, for they have known the way of Yahuwah and the judgment of God. But behold, with one consent they have broken the yoke. They have burst the bonds. So they knew. They knew the way. And Peter talks about that. Slide this over. Yep, same thing, Isaiah 59, the way of peace they know not. It talks about peace. It's talking about God's law. 2 Peter 2:21, for it had been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than after they have known it to turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them. So he tells you what the way is. It's the holy commandments, and it was better for them not to even know about it than to turn from the commandments. And why would he say that? His secret is with the righteous, right? What's that talking about? His commandments. Psalm 25:14, the secret of Yahuwah is with them that fear him, and he will show them his covenant. What's the secret? His covenant. Why does everybody not know? Because Yah hasn't shown them. And that's the same thing Peter's talking about. So when they twist Peter out of context, it's because they don't know any of the rest of the scriptures as well. Same thing with twisting Paul, twisting the New Testament. So the way of God, way of Yahuwah is his commandments. Therefore has a lion out of the forest smitten them, and a wolf has destroyed them, even to their houses, and a leopard has watched against their cities. All that go forth from them shall be hunted, for they have multiplied their ungodliness. So two different ways: ungodliness, breaking God's law, godliness, keeping God's law. They have strengthened themselves in their revoltings. In what way shall I forgive thee for these things? Thy sons have forsaken me and sworn by them that are no gods, and I fed them to the full, and they committed adultery and lodged in harlots' houses. They became as wanton horses. They neighed each one after his neighbor's wife. Shall I not visit for these things, saith Yahuwah? And shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? So he sent the nation, Israel, his people, not the modern state. He sent the other nations against Israel for their ungodliness. Go up upon her battlements and break them down, but make not a full end. Leave her buttresses, for they are Yahuwah's. For the house of Israel have indeed dealt treacherously against me, saith Yahuwah. The house of Yehudah also have lied to their master. They have said, these things are not so. No evil shall come upon us, and we shall not see sword or famine. Our prophets became wind, and the word of Yahuwah was not in them. So false prophets. And I wish I had a Dead Sea Scrolls commentary on Jeremiah, because I feel like I understand some things in the prophets, but a lot of things I do not. So when I just read through and don't comment or anything, a lot of it's extremely hard to understand. So I praise Yah for what little bit of understanding I have. Therefore, thus saith Yahuwah Almighty, because you have spoken this word, behold, I have made my words in thy mouth fire, and this people wood, and it shall devour them. Behold, I will bring upon you a nation from far, O house of Israel, saith Yahuwah, a nation the sound of whose language one shall not understand. That's interesting. Second Kings 18:26. Let's go here. Nope, I didn't want to download it. Oops. Why did it download it? Okay. So then said Eliakim the son of Hilkiah and Shebna and Joah unto Rabshakeh, speak, I pray thee, to thy servants in the Syrian language, for we understand it, and talk not with us in the Yehudim language in the ears of the people that are on the wall. So, but Rabshakeh said unto them, hath my master sent me to thy master, and to thee to speak these words? Hath he not sent me to the men which sit on the wall, that they may eat their own dung and drink their own piss with you? Then Rabshakeh, So that's lost on a lot of people today. You say this to people today, and they're like, yeah, they had a different way of doing things back then. Then Rabshakeh stood and cried with a loud voice in the Yehudim language, and spake, saying, and people say I'm harsh. That's funny. Hear the word of the great king, the king of Assyria. Thus saith the king, let not Hezekiah deceive you, for he shall not be able to deliver you out of his hand. So that's the reason they didn't want him to speak in the Hebrew language, because then the people would know what they were saying. Like, Hezekiah's not going to deliver you. God sent us against you. So 2 Kings 18:26. So here is... I believe it's Ivrit. Where's it at? Raj. Debar. You. Arami. Yeah. So not Syrian, but Aramite, or Arami. Yeah. So Aramaean. but they translate it Assyrian. So, and not new. You speak to the people in Yahudit, right? Or Yahudi, the Yahudi language. It's not Jew, okay? You can see it here in the text. Yahudit, Yahudi, okay? Oh, I clicked out of it. I might need that again. But yeah. So don't speak in Aramee language. Speak in Aramee language, and speak not with us in Yahudi language or Yahudi. So the sound of a nation whose language you shall not understand. Same thing when the Romans came and took over. They didn't speak in Hebrew. They are all mighty men, and they shall devour your harvest and your bread, and shall devour your sons and your daughters, and they shall devour your sheep and your calves, and devour your vineyards and your fig plantations and your olive yards, and they shall utterly destroy your strong cities wherein you trusted with the sword. So Yah gave them this great inheritance, and then they pissed it away. So he destroyed it. And it shall come to pass in those days, saith Yahuwah thy God, that I will not utterly destroy you. It shall come to pass when you shall say, wherefore has Yahuwah our God done all these things to us? That thou shalt say to them, because you serve strange gods in your land, so shall you serve strangers in a land that is not yours. That's the curse on Israel. Proclaim these things to the house of Jacob, and let them be heard in the house of Yehudah. Hear ye now these things, O foolish and senseless people, who have eyes and see not, who have ears and hear not. So just because we have eyes and we have ears doesn't mean we actually see what's going on. Will you not be afraid of me, saith Yahuwah, and will you not fear before me, who have set the sand for a bound to the sea, as a perpetual ordinance, and it shall not pass it, yea, it shall rage, but not prevail, and its waves shall roar, but not pass over it. But this people has a disobedient and rebellious heart, and they have turned aside and gone back. They have not said in their heart, let us fear now Yahuwah our God, who gives us the early and latter rain, according to the season of the fulfillment of the ordinance of the harvest, and has preserved it for us. There's an end times harvest also, and there's early and latter rain and doctrine. You see that in Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 32:2, my doctrine shall drop as the rain, my speech shall distill as the dew, as small rain upon tender herb and showers upon the grass. That's being fulfilled now. Everybody returning to, or trying to return to God's law, studying God's law. So you say, doctrine, what does that mean? That doesn't necessarily mean God's law. Well, that's why we use scriptures to interpret scriptures. We don't make up our own definitions. Proverbs 4:2, for I give you good doctrine, forsake you not my law. So his doctrine is his law. Your transgressions have turned away from these things, and your sins have removed good things from you. For among my people were found ungodly men, and they have set snares to destroy men, and have caught them. You can see Messiah in the New Testament rebuking them for their traditions and laying aside God's commandments, teaching the people wrong. As a snare which has been set is full of birds, so are their houses full of deceit. Therefore they have grown great and become rich. They have transgressed the rule of judgment. Judgment still matters, no matter how you interpret the New Testament. But you have to have righteous judgment. They have not judged the cause of the orphan. The orphan is estranged from God. This is not a literal orphan. It's so if you're in covenant with God, you're a son of God or daughter. If you're not, you're an orphan. If you're in covenant with God, you're a wife or bride. See that in the New Testament. If you're not, you're a widow. Nor have they judged the cause of the widow. So those estranged from God return to God's law, become a child, become a wife. Shall I not visit for these things, saith Yahuwah, and shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? Shocking and horrible deeds have been done on the land. or in the land. The prophets utter unrighteous prophecies, and the priests have clapped their hands. My people has loved to have it thus, and what will you do for the future? Right, so they love it when they have unrighteous prophecies, false prophets clap their hands. I wonder what that says in, let's see, Jeremiah 5. The priest's rule is the prophets direct. My people love to have it so, by their own authority. Yeah. So that's interesting. If you go to door sound doctrine, same prophecy for the end, the people still love to have it so. 2 Timothy 4:3, for the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine. What do we know sound doctrine is? God's law. But after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. And they shall turn away their ears from the truth. Psalm 119, 142, God's law is truth. It shall be turned to fables. Right? And, yep, I won't go into that anymore. Jeremiah 6. I'll look through this right quick. That's good. That's good. Strengthen yourselves, you children of Benjamin, to flee out of the midst of Jerusalem, and sound an alarm with the trumpet in Tekoa, and set up a signal over Beth Carmel, Beit Carmel probably, for evil threatens from the north, and a great destruction is coming. And thy pride, O daughter of Zion, shall be taken away. So Babylon came from the north, and Rome came from the north as well. That's Japheth's inheritance, Jubilees. The shepherds and their flocks shall come to her. They shall pitch their tents against her round about, and shall feed their flocks each with his hand. Prepare yourselves for war against her. Rise up, let us go up against her at noon. Woe to us, for the day has gone down, for the shadows of the day fell. Rise, and let us go up against her by night, and destroy her foundations. For thus saith Yahuwah, hew down her trees, array a numerous force against Jerusalem. In Scripture, trees are like men. O false city, there is all oppression in her. As a cistern cools water, so her wickedness cools her. Ungodliness and misery shall be heard in her, as continually before her. Thou shalt be chastened, O Jerusalem, with pain and the scourge, lest my soul depart from thee, lest I make thee a desert land, which shall not be inhabited. That's one of the curses. For thus saith Yahuwah, glean thoroughly as a vine, the remnant of Yisrael. And you see the land of theirs, a lot of desert. That's not how it used to look. The remnant of Israel, turn back your hands as a grape gatherer to his basket. To whom shall I speak and testify that he may hearken? Behold, thine ears are uncircumcised, and they shall not be able to hear. Behold, the word of Yahuwah has become to them a reproach. They will not at all desire it. And I allowed my wrath to come to the full, yet I kept it in, and did not utterly destroy them. I will pour it out on the children without, and on the assembly of young men together. For man and woman shall be taken together, the old man with him that is full of days, and their houses shall be turned to others, with their fields and their wives together. For I will stretch out my hand upon the inhabitants of this land, saith Yahuwah. That's also part of the curses. Where's it at? Is it 29? Let me look. Yep. The next generation, your children who rise up after you, as well as the foreigner who comes from a distant country, will see the devastation of that land and the afflictions with which Yahuwah has afflicted it, and its soul burned out by sulfur and salt, nothing planted, nothing sprouting, unable to support any vegetation, like the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboim, which Yahuwah destroyed in his fierce anger. They and indeed all the nations will wonder, why has Yahuwah done this to this land? What caused this great display of anger? They will conclude it is because they abandoned the covenant of Yahuwah, the God of their ancestors, which he made with them when he brought them out of the land of Egypt. They turned and served other gods, worshiping them, gods whom they had not known, and whom he had not allotted to them. When he separated the nation, Dead Sea Scrolls, he separated them according to the angels of God, Deuteronomy 32. So rebuke thy kingdom. Can you go back to verse 28? Explain how this is not talking about the poor among us, as in Matthew 25 or Daniel 4 or Isaiah 1 or Isaiah 56. 28. I didn't get to 28 yet. Maybe I'm missing you. Are you talking about Deuteronomy? Verse 28. Maybe I just now saw the comment. Verse 28. The previous chapter. Jeremiah 5. Oh, yeah, the cause of the orphan and rights of the needy. It's prophetic language. So you absolutely do. It talks about Deuteronomy. There'll always be the poor, or Messiah said there'll always be the poor there, and you take care of the poor and needy. Yeah. So it's not always. Sometimes it is the poor and needy, but in Jeremiah context, he's not talking about. He's talking about orphans and widows from God, not poor and widows that you take care of in the land, if that makes sense. It's prophetic context. So it absolutely does talk about, I think Matthew 25 is Messiah's talking about you'll always have the poor among you. So yeah, he's absolutely talking about the poor. But it's not always. That's why people mess the prophets up so much. Because it's prophetical context. If you don't know how sheep and goats judgment, whether you render justice, compassion, and mercy to the poor. 25, 30. Oh yeah, absolutely. The sheep are Israel. It's all through the prophets. Israel's the sheep. His sheep hear his voice. They do the Father's will. They do his commandments. The goats do not. Goats are stubborn, like wheat and tares. Same thing. The wheat bend. The tare doesn't bend. The goats don't bend. They're stubborn. So they're lawless. Yeah. So this would be prophetical context too. This wouldn't be taking care of the poor, the needy, the orphan who doesn't have fleshly parents, or the widow that doesn't have a fleshly husband. It would be different. Yeah. It trips a lot of people up because they don't understand there's a difference with what God's talking about. So Daniel 4:27. See. Yeah, and that's one reason I try to focus on that so much, is because I don't see people trying to help people in that way, and I'm trying to help people. So, Wherefore, O king, let my counsel be acceptable unto thee. Break off the sins by righteousness, thine iniquities by showing mercy to the poor, if it may be lengthening of thy tranquility. Well, also, I think it's in the book of Tobit, it talks about alms for sins by helping the actual poor. So it can be both or it can be either, right? It is a righteous thing in the law to help the poor, to help the widows, things like that. But it's not always talking about that, because there are widows and orphans from God, and that's different. Hope that helps. Learn to do well, seek judgment, relieve the oppressed, judge the fatherless, plead for the widow. Yeah. So that would be context of those oppressed with sin, right? The fatherless, estranged from God, our Father in heaven. The widow without a bride, right? Isaiah 56, that's a future promise. Well, Isaiah 1 is too. Isaiah 56. Yeah, coming back, all about coming back into covenant with God. Not being Romans 11, Ephesians 2, not being a stranger to the covenant of promise, but being fellow citizens with Israel in God's covenant. Yeah. So cool. Good question. So let me go here before I forget where I was at. Let's see. Okay. I almost forgot where I was at. Yeah, I love Tobit. Awesome book. So the anger, I think this is where I was at. So the anger of Yahuwah was kindled against that land, bringing on it every curse written in this book. Yahuwah uprooted them from their land in anger, fury, and great wrath, and cast them into another land, as is now the case. Interesting. The secret things belong to Yahuwah our God, but the revealed things belong to us and to our children forever, to observe all the words of this law. And we saw earlier in Psalms and Proverbs, is it Proverbs? The secret of Yahuwah, was it Psalm 25? The revealed things. He reveals his covenant to people. The law, same thing. Hey, Mick. Yeah, I'm getting older now too. I'm 43. It's fun. Talking about legitimate fatherless widows and strangers being the heathens that live among you. Yeah, they can absolutely be estranged from God, but it's separating between, is it someone estranged from God, or is it one that he's set apart to be separate from him? Because we see that he appointed the people in the nations to worship other gods of the nations. And that was part of Israel's punishment, to worship other gods in the nations, because you want to be like them, you're going to be like them. He appointed him over Israel. That's the reason people have to be grafted into Israel, which they don't get. So it's figuring out, maybe pray about it. Is that a person that God has set aside to be estranged from him? Because there's absolutely a bunch of people in the nations that are set aside to be estranged. Or is it somebody that just doesn't know that you can help? So, not to derail your stream, but whenever you get a chance, check out Matthew 23. The way to your matters of the law points back to the fatherless, widow, and stranger. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's absolutely, like I said, there's absolutely orphans and widows, but there's also orphans and widows from God too. So let me see. Where are we at? Their houses shall be turned to others, with their fields their wives together, for I will stretch out my hand upon the inhabitants of the land. Yep. For from the least of them even to the greatest, they have all committed iniquity. From the priest even to the false prophet, they have all wrought falsely. So lawlessness, iniquity. And they healed the breach of my people imperfectly, making light of it, saying, peace, peace, when there is no peace. That's like the church or anybody going into congregations, shalom, shalom, and ignoring God's law. There is no peace. Where, peace, peace, and where is peace? That would be, why does it translate it like that? Jeremiah 6:14. Yeah, so when there is no peace. That's why I read it that way. So they were ashamed because they failed, yet they were not ashamed as those who are truly ashamed. So there's fake humility and fake, oh, I'm ashamed. And there's real ashamed and real humility. And they knew not their own disgrace. Therefore shall they utterly fall when they do fall. And in the time of visitation shall they perish, saith Yahuwah. Thus saith Yahuwah, stand ye in the ways and see and ask for the old paths or the ancient paths of Yahuwah, and see what is the good way and walk in it, and you shall find purification for your souls. So we already saw the good way earlier. That's God's law, and walking in it, in the way, and be sanctified. It tells you, or tells us, not Proverbs, Psalms. Psalms are loaded. And the extra Psalms in the Dead Sea Scrolls that show the corrections they made, and there's even more Psalms than what we have in our regular Bible. So Psalm 19, the law of Yahuwah is perfect, converting the soul. Purification for your souls. The testimony of Yahuwah is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of Yahuwah are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of Yahuwah is pure, enlightening the eyes. We saw the blind people earlier. The fear of Yahuwah is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of Yahuwah are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold. Sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is thy servant warned, and in keeping of them there is great reward. Right. So that kind of goes against the grain of the Messianic community saying, we don't do the commandments to be saved. We do them because we're saved. No. You do them because he give you grace to do them, but the goal is to be saved. He doesn't tell you there's a reward, so we don't look at the reward. He tells us there's mansions. I'm gonna give you mansions. You look at it, you say, oh, I want mansions, so I better do what he says, right? You do them because there's a reward. You do them because if you don't, you're gonna get toasted. So, but it's by his grace. Things get twisted up and separate the weeds. Yeah, Isaiah 8. It's interesting. It says disciples in there. Seal the law among my disciples. The law is light. But they said, we will not walk in them. I have set watchmen over you, saying, hear ye the sound of the trumpet. But they said, we will not hear it. Therefore have the nations heard. And if the watchman is blowing a trumpet, preaching darkness, that's not a watchman. That's a fake watchman. So therefore have the nations heard, and they that feed their flocks. Hear, O earth, behold, I'll bring evils upon this people, even the fruit of their rebellions. That's interesting. He said earth. So fruit of rebellion, Psalm 1, the good fruit of the godly, walking in God's law, the fruit of the wicked, not walking in God's law. For they have not heeded my words, and they have rejected my law. Wherefore do you bring me frankincense from Sabah, probably Sheba, and cinnamon from a land afar off? Your whole burnt offerings are not acceptable, and your sacrifices have not been pleasant to me. Therefore thus saith Yahuwah, behold, I will bring weakness upon this people, and the fathers and sons shall be weak together. The neighbor and his friend shall perish. Thus saith Yahuwah, behold, a people comes from the north, and nations shall be stirred up from the end of the earth. They shall lay hold on bow and spear. The people is fierce and will have no mercy. Their voice is as the roaring sea. They shall array themselves for war against thee as fire on horses and chariots, O daughter of Zion. That sounds like Rome there. The fierce people, the most wicked nation ever. And that's interesting. Sheba, Ophir, Philippines, frankincense, cinnamon. Interesting. We have heard the report of them. Our hands are weakened. Anguish has seized us. The pangs as of a woman in travail. Go not forth into the field and walk not in the ways, for the sword of the enemy lingers round about. O daughter of my people, gird thyself with sackcloth, sprinkle thyself with ashes, make thyself pitiable lamentation as the mourning for a beloved son, for misery will come suddenly upon you. That sounds like Joel 2, Joel 3. I have caused thee to be tried among the nations, tried among tried nations, and thou shalt know me when I have tried their way. They are all disobedient, walking perversely. They are brass and iron. They are all corrupted. The billows have failed from the fire. The lead has failed. The silversmith works at his trade in vain. It's all talking about idols here. Their wickedness is not consumed. Call you them reprobate silver, because Yahuwah has rejected them. So the people are walking with idols. So he compares the people to idols. And Jeremiah 6 from the Dead Sea Scrolls has the divine name in there. Yahuwah has rejected them. So let's see, 6 here. Yeah, Beth, Hakirim, Tekoa. That's one thing about you can glean some stuff from the Septuagint, but you gotta watch where they added in. They added into the translation to clarify things, and they took some things out, and the names in the Greek get all messed up. And some of the idioms drop out too, because you translate it into a different language, and it just the meaning drops out. City of license. So God has emotions. He's going to turn in disgust. Glean. Correction. Compare Greek, Hebrew, they shall glean. So here is a command, their correction. And the Masoretic text says they shall glean, like a future thing. He's talking now in prophetic terms. The ears are closed. So uncircumcised, closed ears. Wrath of Yahuwah. Yep. Anger. Everybody's like a woman in travail. Every face is pale. Their eyes right out of their sockets. It's going to be crazy. Oh, man. Yep. Peace, peace when there is no peace. I don't know why that dropped out of the Septuagint. Find rest. Messiah said, I'll give you rest. Right? What was he talking about? The ancient paths. Come unto me. Yeah, like he didn't know the Hebrew scriptures. Just people think he's talking about something different. Matthew 11:28, come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. What's he talking about? The ancient paths. Walk in God's law. You'll find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk in it. That's a recurring theme. Raised up sentinels. This is also watchmen. They translate it as sentinels. I like that. They translate it congregation, not church. See, yep, Sheba. Parent and child together, neighbor and friend. It's sad what happened to Israel, but he warns us and we don't listen. That's what happens. So, fortress, tester, and a refiner. Yep. So, a lot of times that could be what's happening here. So, he's talking about past, what happened before. And it looks like he might be switching. So, he refines them as gold and silver. What's that, Zechariah? He might be switching the future. So, all right, here, Jeremiah 7. The word of Yahuwah came to Jeremiah from Yahuwah, saying, I'm glad I prefer to stay in the Dead Sea Scrolls, but I do use other translations when you don't have this one. Jeremiah 5 is not in the scrolls. So, not that it wasn't in there, it's probably torn up or missing. Some of the top of the scroll, the outside of the scroll got damaged. So, not everything got preserved. Stand in the gate of Yahuwah's house and proclaim this word there and say, hear Yahuwah's word, all you of Yehuda who enter in at these gates to worship Yahuwah. Then it breaks off to. So note down here, the spacing indicates a shorter reading than the Masoretic text. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see it. Exactly which phrases are left out is not certain, so the translation provided is only one possibility. So that's for this here. You see that a lot in the Dead Sea Scrolls, that things got messed up. That's all it is. So back to the Septuagint, Jeremiah. Well, I'll just flip over here, Jeremiah 7. You lose some things in the Septuagint and you lose some things in the Masoretic text. Same thing with the Samaritan Pentateuch. Thus says Yahuwah of hosts, the God of Israel, amend your ways and your doings, and let me dwell with you in this place. He was supposed to dwell in the temple, or I will let you dwell. That's more like it. Well, he'll dwell and he'll let you dwell. Do not trust in these deceptive words. This is the temple of Yahuwah, the temple of Yahuwah, the temple of Yahuwah. 3 times. Emphasis. For if you truly amend your ways and your doings, if you truly act justly with one another, if you do not oppress the stranger, the alien, the orphan, the widow, or shed innocent blood in this place, if you do not go after other gods to your own hurt, then I will dwell with you in this place, in the land that I gave to your ancestors forever and ever. So they most definitely were oppressing the stranger, orphan, and widow when the Messiah was walking around. So they got their punishment. Or care for the widow. Let's see. Where's that in the Gospels? Oh yeah, good luck finding that. So you're absolutely supposed to care for the orphan and the widow and the stranger. So the stranger would be one joined to Israel in the land. You're supposed to treat him as a homeborn, which they probably didn't do that either. They didn't take care of the orphans. They didn't take care of the widows. They killed the prophets, right? Here you are trusting in deceptive words to no avail. Will you steal, murder, commit adultery, swear falsely, make offerings to Baal, and go after other gods that you have not known? And then come and stand before me in this house, which is called by my name, and say, we are safe, only to go on doing all these abominations. So this is breaking God's law here. So this could absolutely go with that too. Has this house, which is called by my name, become a den of robbers in your sight? I too am watching, says Yahuwah. Go now to my place that was in Shiloh, where I made my name dwell at first. See what I did to it for the wickedness of my people Yisrael. And now, because you've done all these things, says Yahuwah, when I spoke to you persistently, you did not listen. When I called, you did not answer. Why did they not? If God's standing before them, they would, people would say, oh, it's God, and they would listen. No, he sends people, his prophets. And people are like, who the heck are you? You're no better than us. Oh, God speaks to you. People, we're just like that. Therefore, I will do to the house that is called by my name, in which you trust, and to the place that I give to you and to your ancestors, just what I did to Shiloh. And I'll cast you out of my sight, just as I cast out all your kinsfolk, all the offspring of Ephraim. That's interesting. He singles out Ephraim. That is the northern kingdom. He's talking to Judah. To the people of Judah, right? And he's referencing the house of Israel. I cast them out already, so that tells you the timing on it. The house of Israel is already gone, 722 BC, taken by Assyria. And he's talking about casting the southern kingdom to Babylon, 586 BC. So, yep. Therefore, don't pray for this people. Don't lift up a cry or prayer for them, or make intercession to me, for I will not hear you. So he's given a command. Don't even pray for them. They're done. Don't you see what they do in the cities of Yehuda and in the streets of Jerusalem? And that reminds me of Enoch also, when he says at the end, the elect cry for judgment. They don't pray for the wicked. They cry for judgment to be executed. Then they get a sword and they go through and kill them. The women need the dough to make cakes to the queen of the sky, queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings to other gods, that they may provoke me to anger. Some people say this is Ishtar, Easter. Do they provoke me to anger, says Yahuwah? Don't they provoke themselves to the confusion of their own faces? So you do it. He said you do it to yourself. So the people did it to their own selves. 19. Therefore, thus says Yahuwah God, my anger and my wrath shall be poured out on this place, on man and animal, on trees of the field and fruit of the ground. It will burn and not be quenched. That's a thing in translations I don't like. They put humans, humanity, mankind. Women are included in that. Thus says Yahuwah of hosts, the God of Yisrael, add your burnt offerings to your sacrifices and eat the flesh. For in the day that I brought your ancestors out of the land of Egypt, I did not speak to them or command them concerning burnt offerings and sacrifices. Doesn't mean they didn't do it. 28. Because you see when they come out of Egypt, they did Passover, right? So he's not talking about that. But this command I gave them, obey my voice, and I will be your God, and you shall be my people. Walk only in the way that I command you, so that it may be well with you. One of my favorite verses in Deuteronomy. If I could remember the chapter and verse, I think it's like 5:9. Is it 5:9? 5:29. There we go. Deuteronomy 5:29. Oh, that there was such a heart in them that they would fear me and keep all my commandments always, that I might be well with them and with their children forever. What a beautiful promise that God loves us that much. I wish that, and Hebrew heart can mean mind too. I wish that there was such a mind in them that they would keep my commandments. He wants us to be blessed. Yet they did not obey or incline their ear, but in the stubbornness of their evil will, it says in Jubilees, Genesis. Well, it says Abraham kept God's commandments, Genesis 26, I think. And Dead Sea Scrolls says he didn't walk according to his will. They walked in their own counsels and looked backward rather than forward. That's interesting. We were just talking about that today. We're supposed to be looking to the judgment. He's coming, his second coming. From the day that your ancestors came out of the land of Egypt until this day, I have persistently sent all my servants, the prophets, to them day after day. See, that's who he's talking through. He didn't change how he operates. There's just a 2,000-year period of lawlessness and silence and wickedness. Yet they did not listen to me or pay attention, but they stiffened their necks. They did worse than their ancestors did. Oops. Okay, good. I didn't go too far. So you shall speak all these words to them, but they will not listen to you. You shall call to them, but they will not answer you. You shall tell them, this is the nation that has not listened to Yahuwah their God's voice, nor received instruction. Truth has perished. God's law is cut off from their mouth. Cut off your hair and throw it away, and take up a lamentation on the bare heights. That's interesting. My hair's already gone. For Yahuwah has rejected and forsaken the generation of his wrath. For the children of Yehudah have done that which is evil in my sight, says Yahuwah. They have set their abominations in the house which is called by my name to defile it. They have built the high places of Topheth, which is in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to burn their sons and their daughters in the fire, which I didn't command, nor did it come into my mind. Therefore, behold, the days come, says Yahuwah, that it will no more be called Topheth, or the valley of the son of Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter. So it's called the valley of the slaughter. For they will bury in Topheth until there is no place to bury. And you see, they're gathered in the prophets, Enoch. The nations are gathered to the valley of the slaughter when he separates the sheep from the goats, like Rebuke Thy Kingdom was sharing. And I'm bad with names. You have to remind me of your name. The dead bodies of this people will be food for the birds of the sky and for the animals of the earth. No one will frighten them away. Then I will cause to cease from the cities of Yehudah, and birds of the sky and animals of the earth. Enoch's animal dream vision can also mean peoples, kingdoms. But this is specifically talking about dead bodies. So vultures, animals, what's a predator animal, like a vulture? Is it hyenas? Then I will cause to cease from the cities of Yehudah and from the streets of Jerusalem the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness, the voice of bridegroom and the voice of the bride, for the land will become a waste. Why would he make the voice of the bride or the bridegroom to cease? We know who the bridegroom is. Why is he going to make the voice of the bridegroom to cease in the land if he was never in the land to begin with? All right. Just trying to help people understand what's going on here. So Mark 2:19, Yahushua said unto them, can the children of the bridegroom chamber fast while the bridegroom is with them? As long as they have the bridegroom with them, they cannot fast. But when the bridegroom shall be taken away from them, the days come, Messiah, then they shall fast. So what's Jeremiah talking about? Right? Where did God dwell at? In the temple, in Jerusalem. Where's the voice of the bridegroom? In the temple, in Jerusalem. The bride, Israel. Make sense? We're looking for context, not theological insertions into the text, our preconceived notions of what it says and what we've been taught. That's context. What else could it be if it doesn't match? Messiah literally said he's the bridegroom. Food for thought. So Jeremiah 7. 30. 34. Yep. Sorry, doing a lot of clicking back and forth. All right, that's an hour in. I'm going to cut it off there. I don't want to go too far. I try to keep them about an hour so they're not too long, not too short. So 5 through 7. Thank y'all for coming out for the Bible study and your contributions. I appreciate that. Let me look at Matthew 23 too. Sorry, I wasn't ignoring you. I just had to get back on topic. Matthew 23. Yep, I appreciate y'all questions and answers you have, because I don't know everything. Matthew 23, rebuke thy kingdom shared. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you tithe mint, dill, cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice, mercy, and faith. It is these you ought to practice without neglecting the others. Yeah. Points back to the fathers, listening to the widow. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It does, because it's all encompassing. It's all of God's law, not just pick and choose, So the Christians throw God's law out completely. The Judaism pick and chooses. Messianics pick and choose. So it's hard to keep it all being out here in the dispersion, but you can't pick and choose. So you don't neglect. He didn't say, for you need to neglect tithe of mint, dill, and cumin, and do law, justice, mercy, and faith. See, he didn't say that. He said you need to do this and not neglect the others, right? So, and justice is all of his commandments. Mercy is keeping God's law. You don't get mercy if you don't keep God's law. Faith is obedience. If you don't believe something unless you do it. If a tornado is coming, you don't believe it's coming if you just sit in your house and say, oh, tornado's coming. If you believe a tornado is coming, you get in your vehicle and you head the other direction, or run, or whatever. If you expect God to have mercy on lawlessness when he said he's coming to destroy people that are lawless, that's not, the two don't go together. Like, so, anyways, I hope that was a blessing and helpful to y'all, and praise y'all. If I got anything wrong, that's on me. It's not on him. If I got anything right, all glory to him. Praise y'all. So, Numbers. I do like how they sing the priestly blessing. It's beautiful. But I can't sing, and I'm not that good at Hebrew yet. So, number 6, Yahuwah bless you and keep you. Yahuwah make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom. Happy Sabbath. Hope y'all have a good rest of the day on my camera.